Okay, dear students, we'll be talking about the other section of interview question which you get. You've already covered different categories. You should open your mind and prepare yourself thoroughly. I've always said that if you don't prepare yourself, you will feel the interview is a harrowing experience. But if you will prepare your thoughts in a proper way, you will not only open your vision to a broader perspective, but you will also give a wonderful interview, and that will be healthy for you. So it is very, very important that you all understand that preparation is going to help you a lot than you really can imagine. It opens your perspective. See, in armed forces, while they are working even in the peacetime, they are preparing themselves for the war conditions. That means they have a proactive vision and they expect others to have a proactive vision. Let me tell you something very honestly. When an evaluator evaluates you, before that, he has already given n number of years to the armed forces. That means he's got habituated to pre-planning, to pre-working, to be proactive. So when he is habituated, when a person is habituated, then automatically he expects you to be like that. Imagine you go down to a businessman who is only bothered about money for an n number of years. He automatically will subconsciously expect that you don't waste his money, because he is money-minded. Similarly, an officer who has given n number of years in the armed forces and has always learned in those years to be proactive, pre-planned, so he also expects you to be that way. And that is why your preparation becomes very important, because he expects that your answer should be there. So now if somebody says that I did not prepare, he would not feel good about it. But if he says I didn't, I just walked in like this, he wouldn't like this. If he says I did prepare, it's okay. I'm not talking over preparation. Now what do you mean by over preparation? Means giving long answers, giving too many details? No. Make it short, precise and crispy. Your answers should be short, precise and crispy, and this is what the preparation will help you to. I am explaining you in detail so that you can develop your thoughts and make it short and precise. Every question should be having 3-4 lines, 2-3 lines max to max, and should be able to explain. Yes, if they ask you further questions, you should go into the depth of answering as expected out of you. Is it clear? So here we go for the current events and awareness. Now, as I have also said, leadership is also knowledge. If you have knowledge, you are able to come forward as a leader. Imagine there is a condition where everybody is sitting with equal leadership value, but there is a crisis of computers, and there is some crisis of some AI, which is lately. There's only one person who is AI expert out of you. Now, who becomes the leader? That person, because of knowledge. Similarly, in the armed forces, they expect you to have awareness about the world, the current events, because they don't want you to become a duffer when they place you in the position of leadership. Because of your lack of knowledge and ignorance, people do not respect you. Who will suffer? Not only you, but the organization. So they don't want a leader to be a person who does not want to be aware about what is happening around. Knowledge is survival. So it's very important that you all study. Enough lectures on this. Let's come to the point. Coming back to current awareness, first question can come, can you tell me about a current event that interests you? Now, any current event that particularly interests you, you are an armed forces aspirants. So what is the kind of event that will interest you? Positively about the things what China, other people are doing, what are the military changes coming up, what are the technologies coming up. I'm sure that will be there, because now that you are looking at it, you would be thinking. You will also be thinking what can be the modern warfare. You must have read an article on that. There may be also a possibility that you are a sports player, so you must have been interested about what is happening in the sports. Whatever is your special area of sports, you'd be more interested in what's happening there, right? Yes or no? Now, similarly, all your activities which you're doing, which is evident in your biodata, will be area of your interest. So when you will have that as area of interest, naturally your awareness will desire to know more about it. What are the new happenings? So if they ask you what are the current events that interest you, it will be naturally sports, a little bit of the game you play, a little bit of what is happening in the world scenario, and little bit of technology, little bit of armed forces. Am I right? So that is exactly the areas which you should prepare also, so that you should be aware of them. Now, if you say that I like to hear about the politics, who's now the president, who's the vice president, that means you have a different thought process, right? So here we are not looking at that thought process, am I right? So you don't have to talk irrelevant thing. That also is very important. So you should talk something which is relevant to your biodata and also relevant to the need of the organization, as well as your awareness should be very clear on that point. Is it clear? Not clear? That is very important. Now, if you suppose I go down to a place in a fashion show and I start asking them how much is wheat going to cost, what is the value of rice, what is the value of cereals, what is the value of some eating commodity, I think I'm in the wrong place asking the wrong questions or having the wrong queries. Similarly, or we are spelling the wrong information there. So we should be relevant. That is very important. Please frame your mind properly. You need guidance. You have the brilliance everyone has, and everyone has shown me also over the years. So everyone has. All they have to do is explore a mind a little so that they become a good leader. A good leader means a person who's competent to bond people, impress people, and thereafter cooperate and help people, and of course silently lead people. So let's go for this. Have you understood what are the areas of interest? You can certainly talk about your sports which you play or about the other activities which you do, and then you can tell in details. But you should do your homework. So the moment they ask you what area interests you, they expect you to have enough information about them, that particularly the current 5 to 10 points on each subject, whichever you say. So if you have decided that you're going to talk about sports, cover 5, 6 top things happening. In whatever sports you play, it's not necessary all of them, but specifically in your favorite sports, and 1 or 2 here and there. That's it. Number 2, they will ask you, okay, what about armed forces also? You can study because you are here to get selected in the armed forces, so you should be having knowledge, and that should be an area of interest also. That is why you are here. And third thing is, of course, related to games, related to this, and then of course technology, because that is one thing which is very, very important in present time to survive, to excel. So remember that. So you can say that it can be warfare technology, it can be your computers technology, it can be your mobile technology, it can be your apps, it can be many things, right? Is it clear? And this is a way, once you invite them to that area, then they will carry it. Now this is also very important thing. If you call somebody at your home and you don't treat him well, I think you've done a foolish thing. Why did you invite him? Similarly, if you are talking about a current event, that current event you should have good enough knowledge so that when you invite them, they will automatically expect good detailed knowledge. So if you'll give that, that's going to help you also, and they will also like it. So got it? Preparation is necessary. Let's go down to the second one. How do you stay informed about current events? Now, there are different via medias. You, of course, have a mobile, one of the biggest things. And of course, in addition, computers, in addition, certain apps for news or certain places. Maybe you are reading newspaper, but I think newspaper has taken a back seat lately. Post-corona, all of them have gone to e-papers. You can say that. You can also talk about YouTube, where you learn every current details updated there. So you can say that. Is it clear? Not clear? So this is very important, that you have to tell which is the place. Now, for example, I want to tell specifically, aware you about something. The people who are going here in the armed forces, if they're going for the Air Force, they should go into the website of the Air Force, Carrier Indian Air Force and the other ones. And they should have a clear picture of that thing. the color, the pattern, everything. Similarly, if you're going into the Navy, you should have forayed into the Navy website so that you have a clear picture of what it is all about. Similarly, if you have seen the Army, you should have a clear picture of the same. So now having all these pictures are very important. Why? I want to be very clear, because having this, they will realize that you have interest. They may ask you, how do the website colors look to you? Now you are saying, I saw the website, and you say, I don't remember the colors or whatever. It will look funny. So it is better that whatever you have seen, you should have memory of the same. Why? Very important question. Why? Because they believe that entire learning comes from observing. So if you have observed well, you will learn well. And if you have learned well, you will be able to repeat it well. That is how it is to be taken, it is to be understood, and it is important. Is it clear? Yes, no. That's it. Okay, so I would expect you that when they ask you, where did you learn from? If you have said website, you should have a clear picture of the website's image. If you have seen a mobile or other places, you should tell that. And the via media makes it very important, because they will know that are you casually behaving with your life, or you're quite focused and clear about how you have to do it. Now I want to give you an example here. Once there was a boy, he was asked about a certain question, and he was asked, okay, tell me about this, and then they said that, okay, find out and let me know. So in the conference when he went, he was asked, okay, what did you find out about that? So he said, sir, I just picked it up from my friends. They didn't appreciate this. Whereas there was another boy who did this. So he said that, sir, I had learned from this place. I also went down to the internet cafe. There I searched. I also had called up a friend in my local city to find out the details. And from this, all these things, I gathered this information, which is to my knowledge very true, because it has been checked from different resources. Now this was a good homework, and this boy was selected, recommended, whereas the earlier one was not recommended. Why? Because the way you treat the various media makes an impact of how serious you are. You're going for a career, and you cannot play like lollipop with the career. You got to be serious about it. You got to be very clear that you have to do things. You have to do it with full sincerity. So if you are searching something, you should use different sources. And if you use different sources, it speaks volumes that you are quite clear. You know, in the armed forces, whenever we check a price, we pick up quotations from different places. Why? Because we come to know this way by comparative analysis what exactly would be the right quotation. So you're getting the point. So having various sources, of course, not here and there, but generally focusing with the subject, you are doing a wonderful job. It shows your sincerity. So your sincerity should be there. That is why they ask you, where did you learn from? You have to tell the different sources. And I hope you can do that. And you must remember the sources. You must remember the picture, everything. Sorry for the details, but it's important that you understand. That is why I know you guys listen less, but you have to understand the story properly if you're seriously interested to get selected. Let's go further. Can you describe a situation where you had to think critically about a current event? Now, there are many times when you see a current event, like lately what is happening, Indian people have been deported back by the armed people, American people. You may feel, because of the opposition and other things, that, oh, this is very bad, this is very bad. But who told them to go by the donkey system? And why should they have gone there? That is also very important. Everybody is rushing like a madman. They have to think about the legal system. They have to go by the legal system. Now, if this complain the system, they adopted the wrong system knowingly. So they are criminals. Actually, they are international criminals. I am being very pragmatic in my approach. Why? Because they knew very well that the process was illegal. And that is, when there is illegality done to anyone, then the others have a right way to return it back. Now, if you on the illegality, then you start fighting wars between country, it's not justified. Our political system in India has always been this, that the opposition has always tried to make issues out of no issues. And this, unfortunately, is wrong. Now, look at the kind of people coming from America. Okay, it's understood that they should have been collected at some point and taken back. But America wants to send a strong message that we are sending them back because they are criminals to our country. I mean, they're illegal migrants. So legality says that they should be dropped. So we are dropping them back. Now, where is the hue and cry required? But unfortunately, this happens. So they were wrong. So here, when you hear a situation, you think presently that, okay, the donkey system, we already had a movie. I am sure you must have seen that movie about a donkey. I think Shah Rukh Khan acted or somebody else. They worked up and they came up with that how people really play. So this is unfortunate. This is unfortunate. But this is the truth. So now you must have thought over it. Okay, this is a donkey system. So you have had a current situation. You thought critically. And I also thought critically. That is why I did not like the way the opposition is treating it. They are trying to take it as a national shame. No, it's not a national shame. Suppose in my family there is a child of mine who's misbehaving with others, then at that point the other person slaps him and he is regularly doing it and I don't know it. Well, I don't have to fight with the other person, but I have to tell my child, you should have never done that. And now that you have done it, you have to pay a little penalty for the same. Nevertheless, now don't repeat it and I'll try to protect you. That is all I should do. Not this that I'm going to fight for the other people. So this critical thought comes in, right? Similarly, when we are thinking in terms of Bangladesh or other issues, we will think critically. It is natural for us to think that, okay, what should we have done in Bangladesh or what is the problem in this? Then we are lately learning about the Europe in Germany, the kind of fundamentalist issues. Then we find out some problems happening in Middle East. We have thought about it, why it could not be solved and what is the reason. See, if you are an intelligent mind, any news will critically spark you. A thought will spark in your mind. Why? Why not this? That's exactly what they are asking. So if they are asking you, you should have the point to tell, yes, sir, I thought about it. I did some research also and then I came to this conclusion. So this way they know that you have a running mind. And if you say, sir, I don't think about current events, just read it and just go over it, that means you don't have a running mind. If you have a running mind, you will think at least a little about it. You will think about solutions, you will think about situations, and probably from that you will learn something for yourself. So got this point clear? So all of you prepare this, prepare in 1 or 2, whatever you really want to, and you learn something. Next, how do you think the armed forces can contribute to national security? Well, I think actually it does, and armed forces have to be now very, very technically advanced because the new warfare which happened in Ukraine, the one which happened in Middle East, openly points out that we need to be very, very alert and very, very ready for new technological inclusions. We should develop more scientific techniques to safeguard ourselves. Earlier, terrorists used to walk into our places and trouble. Now, drone technology has threatened that anytime anybody can attack. So here you have to think on how it has to be resolved, right? So exactly what do you think the armed forces can contribute? You can say that the armed forces need to be very alert and we need to create parallel system of armed forces. We need to develop it well. We need to work on this well so that we are always ready. Particularly, Israel is a befitting example for us to learn that Israel is surrounded by a lot of enemies. And if we rightly see, India also, unfortunately, due to China and due to American problems, India also has too many enemies around itself. Pakistan there, Bangladesh here, China there. Slowly, China affected Nepal, so Nepal there. Slowly, China affected. Sri Lanka, we already had some issue related to Litte, right? Liberation Tiger of Tamil Eelam. Am I right? So all these people, we do have problems. So we have to be absolutely equipped like Israel. And we need to do things which are beneficial for us. Is it clear to all of us? So that's something which they ask you, they can do? Yes, they should be. And how armed forces can really contribute? They can create a proper system of being alert, as well as constructive activities can be done. Now they may ask you about Agniveer. In that case, I want to tell you one thing very frankly. Agniveer, a short marriage, though maybe the government officials will not appreciate, but actually it is wrong. It gives a very, very wrong impression. I think that what armed force government should have done, yes, 4 years, they should have complete military training exercise along with other activities. But after that, they should have been assured appointment, whether in the public sector, within semi-sector or in private sector, but along with it, they would have told to be coming back for the military lessons every 2 years, so that automatically these people will become standing forces for the armed forces. So if the youths are going to be thinking that they will be, after a certain time stashed away, they do not have the motivation they should have. So I think the government should correct on that point. They should correct the policy, and there's nothing wrong in being innovative and corrective. I think everybody will love that. Even the government people, they don't have to be so orthodox that if we do it, then opposition will create. No, tell them that I appreciate on the ground realities, we are going to make changes. People will love that. We are not bothered about the opposition. We are more bothered about the people. The people will love that. And that's exactly should be there. So in the ground realities, we're finding that the momentum toward the forces is missing because people do not relate that they will create a better future for them. So I think the future can be assured by a little change in the policy. Anyway, now here we go ahead. Is it clear to all of you? So you can talk all these things. Can you tell me about a social issue that you are passionate about? Now, what is the social issue? The most important social issue, which has always been a challenge for ages, is education. And the education doesn't have to be just bookish. It has to be complete in terms of learning how to live and coexist harmoniously. The education has to be relevant to give respect to each other. The education should have all the shades of values. The education should have all the shades of cooperation. The education should have all the shades of technology. The education should have all the shades of entrepreneurship. The education should have all the shades of social integration. Now, this is something which everybody gets interested, right? You all also would like to use education always. So this is some issue which is very natural. There can be some issues like removing of the caste system. Now, if somebody says that, sir, I feel empowering women. You see, we are not looking at champions going to create a problem that women have been disturbed. No, they were well respected earlier also, and today also they are done. But now if you have this kind of attitude that the women need more empowerment and men need to be put down to the feet, you are sounding rebellious. And if you are sounding rebellious or revolutionary, you are not within the system. You will not live happily in the system. Today, the system which we have created in the armed forces, where men and women are working shoulder to shoulder happily. And they don't want such kind of rebels coming in. So please don't talk about an issue in a rebellion fashion. It will go against you. You know, when people go for the IS interview and they start talking in a very skewed fashion, they realize that this person's psyche is untrainable, is very, very prejudiced. And when a person is prejudiced, it is very difficult to educate. Remember, in the armed forces, they expect you to be balanced, and they expect you to be rational, and they don't want you to be prejudiced, because then only they will understand that you will do well with the whole system. Is it clear or not clear? Understood, not understood? So, if you are not prejudiced, I think you will do a world of good for yourself. And if you are prejudiced, you will do wrong. Now remember one thing which I have always said, that in the armed forces they look at trainable candidates. What do you mean by trainable? There is a person who thinks that I am supreme. Do you think you can train that person? Never. Because that person will not get out of their mind frame. Similarly, there are some people who think that they know it all. So it is not trainable. There are some people who have very wrong attitude towards others. Too selfish, not trainable. So anybody who is on the extreme side will not be trainable, and therefore the armed forces will not take those candidates who are not trainable. Now training comes from a flexible approach. Trainability comes from a flexible approach. If you are flexible enough to understand, appreciate, right thoughts, and you are ready to learn, it is trainability. Is it clear to all of you? Getting the point? I'm sure you're understanding. So that is how they ask you that anything. So you should not talk about a social issue where you start looking like Che Guevara or Fidel Castro or Hitler or any other person in extreme orders. We don't want that. We want you to be a rational person with a balanced approach where you are not becoming a rebellion. Rather, you are being right. Is it clear to all of you? So I hope that is clear to all the people here.